Hello and welcome to your next class within this overall classroom. This class is going to cover the responsibilities of a body composition manager, or a BCM. My name is Coach Adam Whistler from the Schriever Gardening Resilience team, and I'll be your leader for today's class. So, to understand how to be a BCM, we first must understand the overall program with which that falls underneath. The overall program is called the Body Composition Program. This body composition program is independent from the physical fitness program that is within the United States Space Force specifically, meaning that the detachment of the BCAs, or body composition assessments, and human performance assessments, those PT tests, those are completely separate programs and should be administered separate from one another, and so not done at the same time. Also, for the Space Force, the BCA is an unscored component of the human performance assessment. It is a separate component that falls underneath our version of the body composition program. So, now that we understand a body composition program, that BCP, we can understand what a BCM, a body composition manager, is responsible for. So that BCM will collect members' height, weight, and waist measurements known as a body composition assessment, or a BCA. Those BCA scores are collected within the member's birth month and again 6 months later. And so if that person's birthday is in April, they will then have their BCA in April as well as another BCA in October. So it is a twice annual assessment. The BCA score is calculated by taking that member's waist measurement in inches, rounded to the nearest half inch, and then divided by the height of that member. So some examples for meeting the standard and not meeting the standard include, let's say that this member's height was 71 inches, so 5 feet and 11 inches tall. That member's waist was 38 inches as measured by the tape measure and the BCM. Then that waist to height ratio would be 0.54, so that member assesses as moderate risk because they fall within this moderate risk category, which is 0.50 to 0.54. That member would then meet the standard, and then they would conduct another measurement, or BCA, 6 months later. So meeting the standard is anything 0.54 or below. Low risk of a waist to height measurement ratio is 0.49, less than or equal to 0.49. And then you have this moderate risk where we should look at these 0.50 to 0.54 ranges and try to prevent members from getting into the high risk category if possible. So maybe some early interventions here, working with your gardening resilience team. Finally, members would not meet the standard if they assess as high risk, which is anything greater than or equal to a 0.55 calculation in their waist to height ratio. An example for something like that would be if a member was 5 foot 9 inches tall with a 40.5 inch waist, that waist to height ratio would be 0.58. So that member would assess as high risk. They do not meet the standard. That is how you would calculate. So it's that waist divided by the height number, and then that is our overall waist to height ratio. Okay. So our general requirements to become a BCM, for those of you watching this video, include you can be a member of any rank, guardian, or government civilians specifically are eligible. You must be appointed by the unit commander, but you can appoint as many BCMs as is appropriate to meet the standard demand for all male and female BCAs, because you can only assess a BCA for members of the same gender as identified in your military profile. So a BCM responsibility. BCAs will be uploaded, and those BCA scores will be uploaded into My Body Comp from that BCM. That BCM will then notify the commander of any high-risk BCAs, and then they will connect those high-risk BCAs with the Gardening Resilience team for a body composition improvement plan. That's that BCIP, BCIP. So you as a BCM must use, in order to conduct this to standard, a spring-loaded tape measure. If you do not have access to one of those, most Gardening Resilience teams have access to those already, and so they'd be willing to sub-hand receipt or let you borrow it for a small period of time, and then you may need to turn it back in or just check in with that piece of equipment every so often with your local grit. So how to conduct a BCA. So when we're looking at this as our demonstration, we have this anatomical structure right here on the slide. So when we look at this human body, we have the lowest rib right here as the top reference point. we have the iliac crest, which is the bony portion of the hip, and then we have the midpoint between those two bodily landmarks. And so that first landmark at the lowest rib, second one at that iliac crest, you take the midpoint of that. That does not necessarily mean that that is in alignment with the natural waist. That may be slightly higher or lower, but you will do this assessment in alignment with the midpoint. Now, what's important is that you take out and read aloud A2.2, the waist to height ratio verbal instructions. Make sure that you're reading off those verbal instructions to the member before you are collecting the data for this BCA. Now, for the BCA, one thing we have to make sure of is whenever we're conducting this BCA, we read aloud those standards. We will conduct 3 separate assessments, resetting the tape measure in between every single separate assessment. So for example, if you put that at the midpoint between those two bodily landmarks, you could have that member take this and then pass the tape around their own body if you wanted to, and then you could kind of center up that tape measure and then take the assessment, but the member should be standing at attention with arms fully relaxed to the side at the end of a normal exhale without trying to attempt to suck in or change the normal anatomical position of their body. Then you'll take those 3 assessments, you will average out those 3 assessments, and then round down to the nearest half inch, round down to the nearest half inch. And so let's say, for example, if we had a 38 measurement, and then a third measurement of 37.5, for example, that third measurement of 37.5 would take the average below 38, maybe somewhere in that 38.8 range or 37.8 range. You would round down to the nearest half inch. So what would be entered into the system for calculation would be actually that 37.5, again, rounded down to the nearest half inch measurement for the waist to height ratio. So you take those 3 assessments, you measure those 3 assessments, round down to the nearest half inch, okay? So whenever you are complete with reading those instructions aloud, you will conduct your 3 assessments, and then you will write those 3 assessments down. Then you can have that member essentially and you go and upload that BCA into the system. All right. So for you as a BCM to finish after this training module, your required documents you must provide to your Delta Fitness manager is this certification of training. So verifying that you actually conducted this training with us and then read the instructions inside the SPIF manual. You will provide that certification of training, an appointment letter from your commander noting that you are assigned as a body composition manager. And then finally, that DD form 2875, that security manager form that has to get signed by your security manager and commander that gives you access to your specific passcodes. So if you are a BCM, you need this 2875 to say exactly what passcode that you are granted access to. And so the reason why that's important is because when your Delta Fitness Manager or UFCM go in there to give you access in the MyBodyComp system, they can only give you access to those passcodes within the system that are noted on that DD form 2875. So make sure that that is filled out properly. Again, we have templates for all these inside our classroom, or you can reach out to your local Guardian Resilience team if you're just watching the link to this video. So last thing, whenever we're looking at uploading those BCA results into the MyBodyComp system, we do have a reference slide deck. It should be in the additional resources folder within this overall classroom. Or again, if you're just watching this as a video, you could reach out to your local Guardian Resilience teams and get some instructions with screenshots for how to upload those body composition assessments in the MyBodyComp system, okay? So again, as always, and what I'll finish with here is please always feel free to reach out to the Guardian Resilience teams at your installation, and we'd be more than happy to assist with your conduct of these BCAs. We can help you practice. We can help you find those bony landmarks. We can help you with any of these elements. And then again, we also want to get to know you so that you can feel comfortable referring all of your BCIPs, those body composition improvement plans, for those members to your local Guardian Resilience teams, because we'd be happy to help those folks and get them hopefully to that moderate risk or low risk to the best of our abilities. So again, thank you so much for paying attention and joining me in this classroom. I appreciate your time.